Welcome, friends of Dice Never Lie. My name is Marathusra. I am the Keeper of Secrets and Game Master here for the Dice Never Lie Gaming Network. Whether you are a returning player who uses these videos as recaps, or if you are someone who enjoys listening and or watching our tabletop live play, I welcome you to the channel, and I hope if you have any questions, you send us a message on the chat here, or send your like and subscription to YouTube, as it always helps us with the algorithm to be able to share our content with more people. Thank you as always for tuning in. This is our third edition of what is a free scenario offered by Roll20 and Chaosium, The Servants of the Lake. I myself have only run Call of Cthulhu now twice, with a few different scenarios. I guess kind of alone in the dark. I did run for another friend, so almost 3 times. It's hard to kind of say, but I do really enjoy the mechanics of the system, and I was super stoked for this. Is the largest game that I've now had the option to run, running it for a total of 5 investigators. It was so much fun to do. I look forward to the next time I'm able to run Call of Cthulhu. Perhaps to see if more and more of my often D&D players can make that jump into a new system where everything's just a little bit different. But regardless, this is the third scenario, the third part of this scenario. It was a wonderful experience, and I look forward to sharing it with you. So without any more ado, come on in and join us with Servants of the Lake. Magic Man, we will start off with you. I think you were kind of heading towards Lucas, who's passed out on the ground. Jacob Trent has just been kind of pulled in through the door. But otherwise, yeah. Let me know if you have any other thoughts about like what was going on immediately.
I'm gonna turn
Or
on
what would you like to do?
Okay.
I think I'm going to go over and check on the doctor. I'd like to try either to awaken him or possibly end up reload my weapon.
Yeah, so you kind of have that choice of you can do one or the other. You're more or less like reload your weapon or wake him up at this point.
Hey, honey, is this mine?
All right. Well, I will spend my action to wake the doctor, sort of shake him out of his little stupor here. I'm not sure if he's fully conscious or unconscious or whatever, but I'll do what I need to.
I believe his bout of insanity was just that he fainted, so he's very quickly kind of roused. I think maybe it's one of those things is where smelling salts are used for, but I would say like a little bit of a shaking, maybe like a slap across the cheek, and he rouses. For my unfamiliarity with it, I think your action to bring him to is perfectly sufficient.
Come on, doctor. We need to rally, get back in the fight. Our friends need us.
Oh, thank you.
And
So,
I think if that would pretty much wrap me up then.
yep, from you, it actually goes directly to Dr. Lucas. So as he rouses you, it is your turn.
How desperate is the door look? Because Lucas isn't aware really necessarily of how long he's been out. How sort of desperate is the battle at the door? Is it what I'm saying is it still kind of obvious that a battle is continuing?
I think it's sufficient to say that Dylan and Max are probably like fighting through the door. I think it's sufficient to say that like Jacob might even still be like physically being pulled through the door. So you might even be looking up to see like Dylan and Max like trying to attack like over the body of Jacob while his legs like he's almost like planked over the door while they drag him inside. I think it's pretty sufficient to say it probably looks pretty rough over there.
Okay, perfect. So, so Lucas instantly, almost hysterically, leaps to his feet, cries out, "Dunstan and that woman in 8, we have to save them," and rushes just absolutely full speed, um, and just flings himself at the door of, I think that's room number 3. Just absolutely no concern for it, just throws his shoulder into it with all his might, trying to burst into room 3, which is, he thinks, is where Dunstan is staying.
All right, so that's room 5 where you're next to. Room 6 is like directly above the stair, but you're trying to throw yourself into the door, like closest to the workshop.
I am.
So I think it's your full. What's your speed with Dr. Lucas? I want to say speed's towards the bottom.
Looking.
Oh, it's over in combat, speed 6. So I think it takes you basically running. That's like doing a sprint kind of in D&D where you're like full action to move that far. So you can't actually bash in the door like on this turn. But you could certainly get there if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He wants to get into that room.
Gotcha. And then from there, we're gonna have that to Dylan.
All right. So Jacob is being kind of pulled through the door. Dylan's kind of right there. He's heard kind of before the shout about the fire, but can Dylan essentially attempt to try and grab Jacob and haul him back through? Or is he kind of too far in now? Like if like if he can reach, I guess essentially his shoulder to try to kind of rip him back, but if
Yeah, sure. Do a. I think just the strength. I think this might be getting into the maneuvers that I don't have any experience with.
all right, so just strength. So that's a critical failure. I'm picking up right where I left off last week.
Right back into it. Yeah, Mr. Smith had a hard success as well. So, um, let's see. I think yeah, it's probably the type of thing like as Jacob's like pulled through the door, you're almost like de-pantsing him kind of thing. As like whatever you go to grab onto, it's just being pulled right from his body. So yeah, I'd say at this point you kind of like have essentially his like trousers in hand, as he's pulled away from you.
Yep. So he'll kind of like he'll try to like fling them, away. But that I guess that's essentially all he can do this turn. I think so. That's it for Dylan.
And that would take us to Max.
All right, still struggling at the door, so Now I can see. Uh, okay. With lacking much else to do, I believe Max will draw his trench knife and begin stabbing Mr. Smith here. Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah, you guys don't know. My bad. I shouldn't have necessarily used the name.
Oh,
But the
I
male
assume
figure in front of you.
I assume Mr. and Mrs. Smith was just like a generic knock-on.
I think it is entirely meant to be so.
Well, then, yeah, so let's just call them that from now on, since we don't know who they are. Better than John Doe. Yeah, so he'll draw his trench knife and take a stab at Mr. Smith. Mr. Anderson. Nice.
Excellent. For 7 damage.
And as he stabs, he'll look over at Jerry, whom he had already told to get the hell out of there while he held the line, and now we've got another casualty. And the door's not going to hold much longer if things go bad for us. But he turns to Jerry and he goes, "What are you still doing here? I told you to get out. Someone has to know."
So, my bad. I had to roll for him. Like he has a disadvantage dice for multiple, like kind of defenses already. But I rolled a 0 and a 10, so he has a 19, which is still a hard success, and his hard success is better than your success. So he's actually going to hit you as you go to attack him. And he's going to do 3 damage to you as you stab out at him. So, like, as you go to like stab into him, you might like stab into like one of the holes in his body, and you like look to Jerry to like send her away, and he's actually reaching out and clawing into you as you're like looking over to Jerry. And then that should be sufficient for us to take it to Jerry here. If you are speaking, Christy, you may be muted right now.
Oh, yeah, I switched to push to talk. My bad. I am going to, as
Close the
Mr.
door.
Hurst suggested, and attempt to run.
Yeah, my blood just sprayed.
Gotcha. So if you're gonna book it, you can use your full movement as like the moving in action.
Okay.
Should be on the combat page, but
Let me see.
your speed is 7.
Okay. Yeah, movement rate. So where do I, like, how far was that? Just like 7 squares or?
Yeah, in the long run, we don't have to focus on this like nearly as important as like with D&D combat. But just don't go crazy as you're moving because that is what you're limited to. But yeah, effectively 35 feet.
Okay.
So that's gonna then take us to. Damn, did I skip Jacob again? I keep skipping his dexterity. He follows Magic Man. So let's see. Somebody roll a D100 for Jacob. First person to roll. Excellent. From Dylan. Use your trash rolls for him. Hopefully you can accomplish something.
That's the idea.
But I do have an 80. So yeah, he kind of like fights back with Mr. Smith, trying to like get himself free. Both of them with failures. Neither really accomplishes anything. It looks like a Steven Seagal movie for a few moments as they're almost like slapping at each other. And that should put us back in line. Mr. Smith doing the same thing. Let me have 2 people roll D100s for me, please. 89, so no success there. One more person with a D100, please. Excellent. And then I get Jerry and Max. Can you each roll me a D100? Son of a bitch! I just rolled a 100. Oh, that's a whole lot of crit fails. Yeah, I think everybody's hitting each other on both sides crit failing. Let me get what has he got? Let me have a D4 from Jerry, and then yeah, you just see as like Jacob is like fighting back both of these like figures who are like tearing at him. And as he's like kind of just like trying to keep them at bay, he's like pulls out like a little dagger, and he just goes to like stab into the female, and like stabs through her neck right as she like reaches into like his stomach and starts to like pull out his entrails. Uh, and we're gonna go back to Mr. Wilcox. So you could like reload your weapon and walk half your distance, half your speed to like get back into everything. If that's effectively still what you're thinking here.
Yeah. So how high up are like the two little decks there, or the big deck and the little deck?
I think it's like 10 feet up.
Okay, and they're like both the same height.
Yeah, yeah. Like the whole building is basically set up for floods to not destroy it.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna just try to keep my cool. I'm gonna reload my weapon and I'm gonna walk towards the doctor. And I think my speed was 9, if I'm seeing that correctly. So I can go 4 or 5 if I round up.
Yeah, I'd say you could basically get to like the top of the stairs around there kind of thing.
Come on, doctor. Now's not the time. You've got to get it together. They need us. And can I look that way? Am I able to actually see through that window now? I'm like not to metagame, but assuming I wouldn't have noticed there's a window yet.
The doctor was going to peep through that window when you guys first came here. So I think it's sufficient to say that you know there is a window here. In this bit of art, I think that window is off the deck. And I like the original where it was like in line with the deck. So I would say it's more likely that the window is like directly in front of you, like right there. But again, it's shuttered and like kind of blocked, so you don't have a visual inside so much as you can see like the light radiation coming outside, like belying the tussle inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Okay. So maybe I'm like thinking about what I'm going to do next round. So
Gotcha. So you are fully reloaded then, and you can mark like keep track of that. And theoretically, next turn, you know, you can dive through the window, doing some incredibly dangerous and probably not at all horrendous activities. Um, I'm sorry, Doctor. I am going to remember to do Jacob ahead of time here, and he's going to try to continue to stab at the throat of Mrs. Smith. Can I have this first person to roll a D100 for me roll his attack? Got a 59 from her as a fail. Need a 25 or better from him. Oh, solid, Magic Man. You got a success there. Let me get a D4 from you.
it was like the bare minimum.
It was indeed. That was his success rate for 1 damage.
You do believe in magic, don't you? Don't you?
and then it's gonna go to Dr. Lucas.
Lucas attempts to go through that door at full speed.
Gotcha. You can do fighting brawl. You could do strength. Yeah, I feel like those are probably the two choices that you really have, is to try to like fight or just strength through it. Uh, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go with strength.
All right, so that's probably like throwing your shoulder into it.
Yeah.
Solid. So you bash into that door, and with very little give, like you kind of like slam into it with your shoulder. There's like a little bit of kind of like the like uh resistance before it just kind of like pops open, and you kind of feel like the wood's almost just kind of like soak through kind of like beginning rotting stages, where it just never stood a chance. But as you bust through, you're going to see a room with two double beds, well made and just sitting there untouched. There's no lantern on in this room. The bathroom door is currently open, and you can see inside, via the darkness. Like there's some light still coming in from outside. You have essentially jumped into a empty room. There is a door to the north of you that you probably have a solid idea might lead to the warehouse, the workshop. And then there is a door to the south of you that you know is like that, like, or essentially both of those doors are like the double dead bolted doors that like lead into the next rooms kind of thing. But effectively you've busted into an empty room.
Um, okay, if it's still within reason, I would attempt to barrel through the door that leads to the workshop.
Gotcha. You could like close the space, but I would say like you no longer have that like kind of like mechanical advantage of running all the way up here. Like you would lose momentum um from your run, like from the stairs to that door. So it's one of those things you might want to. No, I was thinking the opposite. You might want to get yourself situated for a running start if you want to do the same. But again, these are the doors that you've already experienced. Like, I think Geraldine tried to go through one. But you guys know, like they are, or no, it was Wilcox. You guys know they're dead bolted on each side. So that door effectively has like a knob, a deadbolt that you can see, and then a deadbolt that you cannot see. So whether that door is as easy to get through or not, is a different story.
Fair enough. I think he will back up for a run at that door. Meanwhile, with whatever composure he still has, maybe he's glancing around for anything that might help him get through the door. And then another thing I wanted to say is that earlier he was one of the people carrying a lantern from the room. If he still has it, that'd be great. But or maybe he dropped it when he fell unconscious.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's sufficient that you could still have a lantern on you. You would have just picked it up when you come from or regain your consciousness. But let's take it back to Dylan.
All right. Can you remind me how the size of these windows? Like, are they?
Well, at this point, like it's basically the upper half of the door is destroyed. So at this point, like they're just from those door handles below, there's like shards of the wood. It's not like they're hardwood doors or like metal reinforced. Consider it more like say plywood, where it's not exactly like a clean break between them, but most of the top of those doors has been destroyed from this combat at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think Dylan, having failed to, prevent Jacob from getting dropped in, and seeing at least some of his companions seem to be kind of following his and Max's, calls to run. He is going to, with like an anticipatory grimace, because he knows this is going to hurt, he is going to attempt to kind of launch himself through the opening and into the room. And if he can do that and also try and stab out at the Mrs. Smith. But given his limited mobility, definitely wouldn't be surprised if he needs essentially a check to see if he can even get inside. He would essentially try and use the.
I think maybe do a jump or I think jump or climb. And I want to say either one's going to be hard to see if you can get in there. And then I think that's sufficient to say whether you want to attack Mrs. Smith if you make it in there versus Mr. Smith, who you can get to if you fail.
Gotcha. I think given the leg injury, climb makes probably more sense because his jumping ability is probably pretty low right now. So I'll try that.
Excellent. Oh yeah, your climb's like actually increased too. So yeah, so hard success is what I wanted. This is kind of the type of thing, say like leaping up with your hands onto like the door sill. You kind of like are able to kind of like almost like do a pull up to swing your legs in there and kind of get across, kind of leaping down onto your good leg. Um, as far as I'm concerned, go for your attack at whoever you would like. Mrs. Smith, if you would like.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Smith is the one who's still clawing out Jacob's entrails, so he will go for that.
I rolled a 1, but she has disadvantage because she's fighting 2 people, so I got a 61, which is a fail to your success. Roll for damage.
7.
That is sufficient to bring Mrs. Smith down. What is your weapon? Are you fighting with a dagger or?
Switchblade, yeah. So I feel like he kind of manages to clamber over, and she's like clawing out his entrails. He essentially kind of, with his one hand, he tries to essentially like grab her head, and then with his good, his knife hand, just like jabs up the switchblade like right into the kind of like the base of her, kind
Yeah,
of her
you'll
throat,
remember
right into
Jacob
the.
and her both were like critically failing against each other. She was like tearing into his entrails as he's like stabbing into her neck. And as you leap over, you can definitely kind of like pull back her head and finish her. Like cutting through the last of what attaches her head.
Yeah, and Dylan will give a kind of a shout, like a quick, shout as she kind of goes down, with like all the adrenaline, and that's all for him.
That brings us to Max.
Okay, so I've been grappling with Mr. Smith a bit. Is the door even there anymore, or does that technically count as a barrier?
Again, it's just like the bottom half of the door. Like everything from the handles down is still locked and chained. Most of the top is essentially just like raggedy, like shattered pieces of the door above.
All right, then I won't even bother attempting to maneuver around him, around the area, because it sounds pretty treacherous. I've got a couple things that are trip hazards, and I don't trust my luck right now. So I'm just going to keep on with the old stabby stab. Oh, there we go. That's a good success.
I've got a fail. To your success, you can indeed stab him for 8.
And given everything else that's going on, I'm not sure if there's much else I can do. When I'm just trying to keep him locked in, maybe Dylan can get him from the rear, flank him and whatnot.
Gotcha. So Geraldine, we have you kind of running around the northern side of the building. You're kind of like getting up to the kind of midpoint. What thoughts do you have as you continue forward here?
How far away am I from the front desk? Like the reception where we checked in? That's on the other side of the building, isn't it?
Yeah, you can kind of see from the light of its lanterns that you're probably like, like 2 or so like moments of running away from getting there. If you continue on your way, you're basically halfway to the reception.
Okay, so her thoughts are going to get the shotgun I saw up there, or at least see if it's still there, and then try and make my way back to help everybody.
Gotcha. If you're running for the shotgun, yeah, you're probably like 3 turns to get to the shotgun, and then you're turning around and 2 to 3 to get back, kind of thing. But yeah, it's going to take you some time, but you can certainly run. Probably make it, roughly about there, and it would go back up to Mr. Wilcox.
Well, I'm not sure. I guess I would go over here towards the doctor and see what the heck is going on.
So yeah, I think normal move. You could see him kind of like moving back as he's like rushing across the room to prepare to bust in through that door. You could like assist him, say like trying to shoot out one of the locks, or you could kind of assist him and like barrel into the door at the same time.
But I think I would move over here, and I would just say to the doctor, "It appears to be empty. Stand back. I can unlock this door." And I'll point the revolver at it, and I'll fire a shot at like near, I guess as close as I could get, like comfortably, maybe a foot away.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can.
Try to
Hey,
send it. Oh, go ahead.
on some level, I think to move in there and not like stretch your movement too far, you are in the doorway. But for close range, I'll let you do a bonus die to try to shoot at the lock.
Okay, so should I just make like a regular shooting attack?
Well, why I say bonus though is if you click the bonus button on it, it'll roll an extra d10 for you, and you take the lowest of them. But otherwise, yes, it's just a regular shooting or handgun.
So wait, what was the bonus thing? What do I do?
Roll your handgun, and then click the bonus on the bottom. Or if you modify it, you can have it roll the bonus anyways. Yeah, I mean you've got a hard success, so you're going for an extreme. Is the only other option. But if you click where it says bonus there, it's going to roll another d10 for you to see if you can change that tens to 0.
Oh, I see. On after it's rolled, I got it. I got it.
But you can do it ahead of time as well. Yeah, so you literally rolled. Why is it doing a -1? So that would have been a 30. So that would have been a success, but instead you've got a hard success. So yeah, Dr. Lucas, you see as Wilcox kind of moves into the door, kind of like extending his like left off hand into the doorway. He blasts off the deadbolt like on this side of the door. You've got a solid idea that that door is at least a good bit weaker than what it would have been. There's probably a lock on the other side, but Dr. Lucas, you can rush for that door. If you go for the same thing, do another strength check against it. bam, another solid success, putting your shoulder like right into the space where you assume the other deadbolt is. Like having seen a few of these rooms, the placement of the handle, the placement of like the deadbolt that you can visually see, making the adjustments to put your shoulder right there, just pop right through it. And we can basically put right now, Dr. Lucas, just on that side of the door. But again, that should theoretically be your turn there as you kind of like bust in to see like Dylan finishing off like the female. And then Max is currently like stabbing his trench knife into like the like trapezoid of like the male, like as he's like reaching through the door. Jacob Trent's like just now starting to gain his footing. And I think that takes us to Dylan.
Did you do Jacob's turn this round? I forgot.
I also forgot, but I do think I skipped him. So yeah, let's have Jacob. Somebody roll a D100 for Jacob attacking Mr. Smith, please. I got a 20 to his fail, so I am going to do 4 damage to Jacob as Mr. Smith kind of like just grabbing like again into like his stomach, kind of like tearing more flesh away, and starting to like actually pull some of his, might be a little bit early to describe it as so thoroughly, but yeah, starting to really tear him apart, and it's gonna then that sufficiently gets us to Dylan.
Yeah, so Dylan is kind of like turning towards Mr. Smith and kind of hears the door kind of smashing open behind him, and he glances back and he kind of looks to Dr. Lucas and he'll like shout out to Dr. Jacob, get him out of here. And he is going to, meanwhile, trying to essentially distract Mr. Smith and keep him from completely emptying out, completely disemboweling Jacob, is going to stab out at him.
I have a success to your hard success. Roll for damage.
5 that time.
Yeah, so solid stabs into like each side of Mr. Smith as he's like getting stabbed from all sides right now by all these tiny little knives coming out. And it's gonna go to Maximilian. Yeah, Max.
All right. So now that we've got some backup, Dylan's going. I'm sorry, Max is going to intensify the attack. 1 second, real quick. Okay, back again. Where was I? Oh yes, stabbing. Oh, crap.
I also have a fail to your fail. Nothing ends up happening. Again, it's kind of like that Steven Seagal moment as you guys are kind of like stabbing out at each other, clinking blades. Everybody's kind of getting deflected. And it's going to take us to Geraldine. You can kind of continue on up, probably just making it through the front doors if you continue to run for that shotgun.
She says she is running for the shotgun. She's currently in the middle of Washington. Yes, so she says she is still running over to the office to try to get to the shotgun.
Sorry about that. I was just a couple feet away from my keyboard. I apologize. I'm still attempting to go get the shotgun so that way I can hopefully come back and help more than just with my knife.
As you run up through those doors, you're going to see ahead of you as like the door on the other side of reception is actually coming open around that same time. And you see William Brophy kind of like walking through, and he'll, with a little start, kind of look to you and, oh, bit of a commotion you see as he kind of like rubs at his eyes. Was there something I could help you with?
Really?
Yes. Can I please have your shotgun? I will bring it back. There is chaos. Something treacherous, horrible. I'm trying to find words, but I'm very flustered because I'm scared.
And then we're gonna go over to Mr. Smith. He is going to attack, I think, Dylan. And he'll have two negatives. Dylan, I think you just have a normal attack, or you could try to dodge.
I think Dylan's all in at this point, so he's just stabbing back.
Normal success to normal success. I believe I still win as the attacker. And he'll do 3 damage to you as he stabs it, or just like claws into you. And then that's going to take us to Wilcox. You've got your entrance into this room. You can't quite see it yet, but Dr. Lucas has like plowed through the wall or through the door with his shoulder. And it is on you, Wilcox.
So I think I would just proceed in behind him. Am I able to get past him, or how does that work?
Oh, yeah, yeah. If you're just like, was it 4 or 5? You could pretty much get to like in front of him, so he's clear of you if you wanted to try to pistol shoot into the melee. Otherwise, if you're gonna try to like move up into the melee, I think you could probably stand over the corpse of Mrs. Smith and try to like smash into the naked male who's like between all 3 of them. So you could probably just make it there.
Well, I mean, right in the line of fire, there's a swirling melee. I'll try to get up close, but not too close. And, out of respect for my friends, I'm not going to discharge my firearm 3 times, just once.
All right, sounds good. I was gonna say actually, I think it sounds better if you're gonna melee to roll a luck roll to see if you can make it there. But yeah, if you're gonna fire into the melee, just roll to see how it plays.
Nothing personal. It's for your own good.
You want to burn the luck to make that successful?
Of course, I will. Lucky man. Sure, it's not going to run out. So is it just one, or do I have to do 2 of them?
Nope, just 1. So just make sure to edit it and just reduce it by 1. Um, I think you should kill him pretty much regardless, but roll the damage on that. I think you've got a D10. Yeah. That is going to bring down this man as well.
The cavalry is here.
Alrighty. So we're gonna kind of keep this in initiative order for a moment here. As it goes to Dr. Lucas, with Mr. Smith falling to the pistol shot. What would you like to do, Mr. Lucas?
Since I'm in a door breaking mood, are there any doors on the to this dark area of the map?
At this point, no. You have like some of the workbenches to your left, and then you've got like the smashed like wooden crates in the northwestern position of this room. But effectively, you are no longer. You could break the bottom half of the double doors that lead into the warehouse, but currently there's a bunch of flesh, blood, and friendly folk over there.
Okay, so yeah, so momentarily the maniacal gleam goes out of his eye, and he quickly moves to render first aid. I believe, because it's sort of calling out. Does any, is anyone hurt? But obviously, the young fellow is pretty clearly ripped up, right?
Yeah,
Where's Dylan in particular?
Dylan and Jacob are pretty horrendously wounded here. Dylan probably has wounds all over his body. Jacob basically has his like intestines like somewhat pulled out of his torn open stomach. And Maximilian Hurst is also thoroughly wounded. But like yeah, all three of them are in pretty rough shape, but you could certainly start with whoever you wanted, and Jacob is perfectly acceptable.
Hang in there, Max. Dylan, I'll be with you as soon as I can. Any attempts, I guess, first aid?
Gotcha. Go for that, and we're gonna go to Dylan. What's on your mind as you kind of like end these two creatures?
All right. So as the shot rings out from Magic Man dropping Mr. Smith, Dylan's going to, Dr. Lucas moves to try and help Jacob. He's going to turn his attention to these barrels, and I think you said they look like they're sealed. He's going to try to essentially get one open or pry one open if he can to just check what's inside.
They each have like a tap on them already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he will tap one and just try to get a sense of what's within, probably the nearest one to him, so the one like right above him. I think he'd like
All right,
hold
so
out
wait,
his hand.
they're back outside of the room. What were you thinking about the barrels? Oh, my bad. I don't know why this one puts them inside of the room. They should be out on the deck.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, my bad. Those were originally described as being like right where Geraldine was at the start of this, like right above Max. I don't think there's any reason to suppose those two are there.
Okay, I remember. I think I remember you saying they were underneath the like right under the window, and I just assumed that meant inside, but outside makes just as much, probably more sense actually.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think Jacob called out that they were basically it's oil, and then I think realistically they're both oil actually for the lanterns. But yeah. You're just picking one of them to test what it is.
Yeah, probably like holding his hand like underneath the tap and just like a very quick kind of like spurt, try to confirm.
And what are you like hoping for? What are you looking for?
Essentially hoping to confirm that it is essentially just like lamp oil, because that could, given everything that's happened, maybe it could come in handy.
Gotcha. So I know one of them is lamp oil without confirming what the other one is. A watering can rests above the first barrel. William uses this to refill the oil lamps with throughout the motel. I'm pretty sure they're both meant to be lantern oil. So I'm going to say yes, you confirm that both of them are effectively, what is that normally? It's
I think
not
maybe
kerosene, is it? I
could
think
be
kerosene is
kerosene
a
or
pretty solid lamp oil. Yeah. I feel like it's probably effectively, yeah, you could well, you know what? Do you have a chemistry or like maybe like natural science any reason to know oils?
I do have a low natural world. It would only, he'd almost be, but he'd be going just off like smell, if anything. Unless I mean, if it's Yeah, I don't think he would have. It's not the kind of these aren't the kind of oils that would be used in like electrical repair or anything like that. So yeah, he doesn't have any particular skill.
Yeah, roll a natural world. It's 10% to a 1% of chemistry. Yeah, so without necessarily knowing what it is, it gives off qualities that, like, I don't know. I feel like our bodies are good at like thinking something it smells horrid is like as like a way to tell us like, hey, that's bad for you, don't drink this. Um I think you've got a confirmation that it is a flammable substance in that it is effectively poisonous. You know what I mean? I don't think you necessarily would know what sort of um, flammable liquid it is, except for that Jacob has essentially told Jerry that is the lantern oil. So I think you can confirm, but it's still hearsay as far as like you're concerned.
Yep, makes sense.
And then that should take us to Maximilian.
Maximilian, who has slid down the ruins of the door to just sit on the deck and try to recover. He's covered in blood. Pretty sure his arms are both torn up. You know, his knife's covered in blood. He's just staring out over the lake as he's trying to collect himself and take a breath before he says out loud, "Well, that was quite a harrowing ordeal, wasn't it?"
And then Jerry, we're gonna go back into you.
Hold on one
You've
second.
based
She's in the bathroom right now.
Gotcha.
Well, hold on. She said she's
Uh,
on her way back. So
I skipped over Jacob again there. I feel like it's solid to say Jacob kind of like with a little bit of like an exhausted kind of I don't know, like sigh and kind of like allowing some of the adrenaline to flow and calm. Maybe Jacob is like starting to actually like reach out and unlocks the door by the time Dylan kind of like moves through. So you guys like have those doors open back up. Um, I think with the view of this room, he's certainly looking for Abe, but he's not seeing any more signs of anybody else in here. So I feel like that's a pretty sufficient, like what he's kind of going for there is just trying to like deal with that adrenaline rush and reopening those doors for you guys to essentially leave this room. And then, um, again, back to Jerry, like William came out and basically like asked you like what was up and like what you needed. And you can certainly say like you need help, you need to borrow the shotgun, but that would be kind of now. Effectively, like your last turn was running up to this room, and as you're coming in, he's walking through and he responds to you. But this is where effectively for you, like, are you gonna wait to hear something? Are you running, grabbing it, and like heading out? This is where you need to make that decision.
I don't know what happened. Christy, did the
Yep.
traps in
I'm gonna like I said, you're talking to me, right?
I mean, I'm talking to Jerry, but yes.
Yeah, sorry. I'm gonna like be going and trying to grab it as I'm explaining to him what's going on. So yes, I try to grab it and take off with it.
Roll a luck roll for me.
Okay.
So you get up there and you start to like pull it off the wall. As William's kind of like reaching out and like going to grab it. He's going to be saying something, but I'm going to allow you to basically finish this turn as you are going to then head right back out of the room. So say if you were continuing back out, you'd be, kind of that level of progressing back out of the room.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna head on my way back towards everybody.
Gotcha. So as he's like reaching for it, he's like, young lady, you can't take that. There's no need for violence. I can protect you. Just hand it here." And he just kind of like, you can see he's trying to move pretty quick. And he makes it about that far as he's moving after you, basically telling you to give him the shotgun. That's not for you to use.
Okay. I believe that is all I
Uh,
can do in this turn, so that is what I'm gonna be doing.
so yeah, I think for a moment here, we can kind of step a little bit out of the actual and necessary like round of turn by turn, but we are still kind of vaguely there that I need to keep everybody kind of like moment by moment. So we're kind of just at this point almost watching as Jerry makes her way back as kind of like the lone person here. Um, so let me ask, what are Dylan, Lucas, Hurst, and Wilcox up to right now? What are your initial priorities as you basically have a little bit of recollection or recollection? You have a little bit of confirmation that this is probably flammable liquid. We've got like one of you kind of like taking that moment to breathe. Jacob almost stepping out to kind of do the same thing where he's like taking a moment to breathe. Lucas is seeing 3 potential patients that are injured. Wilcox, you've got these bodies and you're like inside of that room. So what's everybody thinking here?
I think it's reasonable. I mean, but maybe it's a little too metagamey. But I think it's reasonable for Lucas to ask, you know, where's Miss Thornhill? Is she okay? Other than that, his priorities are going to be first aid.
Gotcha. While you ask that, then you've got 3 patients on the front doorstep. Who are you going to administer first aid to
Oh,
somebody else while you're asking
yeah,
that?
Max.
So throw that out there. Roll another first aid to see if you can give Max a hit point. How about Max, Dylan, or Wilcox? What are you guys up to? And Max can take another hit point there.
All right, I'll give myself a hit point. My question is, what can I? Well, I'm getting patched up, so what can I do right now? But Max looks over at Doc Lucas as he steps over and says, "Well, John, it's been an interesting night, hasn't it?"
I fear it's not over, my friend.
Oh, it's never over. He gets like this dark look in his face. It hasn't been over since 1917, friend.
I mean, in general, everything is always limited to what you're doing. He can try to patch you up and you can try to run away. That doesn't necessarily change things. It's just a question of what you are trying to do. In general, though, I would throw it out there that Lucas acts faster than you. So, in the long run, if he's trying to patch you up, he probably gets a couple of band aids on you before you can run away from him. It just means that he's probably not going to be next to you next time. But
Okay,
in the long run, yeah, everything is always up to you guys to make a decision what you do.
okay. I'm used to games where the everything is happening at the same time. Um, but as he
Well, by
goes
and large, you are, but he still acts faster than you, as far as like accomplishing things works.
right, so Max manages to heft himself up, cleans off his knife as he inspects his suit. So he goes, "Ah, damn, another one gone to waste. I gotta stop going through these so fast." And then he peers out over the lake water, and then glances over his shoulder at the barrels as well. Before he says, "I'm beginning to get an idea," and this is
So Dylan is now that he's kind of confirmed this is something flammable. Hopefully, what Jacob said it was. He's looking around for something he can use to essentially fill with some of this oil. So if that like
There's a
watering
bucket
can,
on top of one of them.
yeah. So he would grab the bucket and start to fill it up. And I think kind of at Dr. Lucas's mention of Jerry, because I think he saw. I think he was still outside when she started running, but he doesn't know obviously where she ran to. He'll just kind of like he'll kind of like echo his like where's Jerry as he's essentially filling up this bucket with some of this oil.
Gotcha. Filling up the bucket with oil. You could look around the like north side of the inn and see that there's nobody currently over there, slash like where there is light you can't see anybody walking. Again, this is effectively a new moon where there's next to no moonlight, and that's probably the least lit side of the motel here. Wilcox, what are you up to?
I think now that the immediate threat is gone, I would sort of just kind of gather myself, possibly reload the weapon, make sure. Not, I think I would kind of look around at these bodies. We're pretty sure they're human, but I think I would kind of inspect to see do they look like the creature that we encountered first.
So, are you worried about investigating first or reloading that bullet first?
I think that's exactly what would happen. I think I would start to reload the bullets and then get distracted, and my focus would be the bodies.
Gotcha. So yeah. What are you trying to do there? You doing something like anatomy, first aid? What kind of
I think
skill?
I think probably anatomy would be good. I have like a reasonable suspicion that the other creature was human at one time or something. So I want to see do these appear to be like similar in nature.
Gotcha. So I feel like anatomy would end up being like a 1%er. Um, I don't actually see. I guess spot hidden. Spot hidden feels weird on that one. So I think it's like the rough science, and we'll call that anatomy. Is that what you're going for? Is just like a 1%er?
I think I would just look for like an obvious giveaway if they were like actually human or not. Like maybe just like poke around and see. Yeah, I just don't really know. Yeah, I guess so.
All right, all right. Yeah, stick to just a spot hidden then. Nah, I feel like natural world. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It fails anyways. Um, Looking over these two, they're pretty clearly a old man who's probably like 60 or 70, like later years of 60s, and a young woman who's like mid 20s. They're both horrifically injured. Again, they've got like massive holes like through their chest, and then each of them has like rotting flesh, aside from the other wounds that they picked up in your battle. But their flesh is actively rotting, like they smell pretty horrific. um yeah, I think that's probably what you're gonna kind of gather from a failed roll, just kind of looking over them. um
There's a reasonable explanation for this. Maybe just a couple of vagrants, possibly hallucinogens involved.
So everybody's going to hear from like down south on the stairs. Bill Dunstan kind of like coming out of his room, and kind of yelling like, "What's going on here? I keep hearing crazy noises. Who's setting off those fireworks?" Um, and Jerry, I'm gonna come back to you in a little bit. We're gonna get like a little more full, um, kind of what's happening with you guys here. So like, what's everybody thinking as you hear like Bill Dunstan kind of like yelling off from the patio, like to the south of you, or are you guys sticking with the thoughts that you guys have going in the workshop right now? What's everybody doing there?
John, probably going to continue moving to patch up Dylan. Says, I think I take your intention, but we have to get Dustin and that Bonner girl out of here before we do that.
Gotcha. You can roll another first aid there. How about everybody else?
You think Dylan, while he's kind of still like filling up the bucket and letting Dr. Lucas try to take a look at some of his most recent wounds, seeing Bill coming out, he's gonna like look over and he's just gonna shout, "You got a car and it still works. I suggest you get in it, and get the hell out of here, quick as you can."
Roll persuade. How about Hurst and Wilcox? What are you guys up to?
Hurst actually turns as he realizes that Bill's coming out. As he goes, "Oh damn! Can't let people keep getting into the line of fire." He glances down at Hal Jacobs' form. Says, "All right, I'm gonna go see if I can talk him out of here." He's gonna head for the door and try to see if he can talk the man out of poking.
Yeah, and I don't think Dylan ever met this guy, so he has no idea who he is. And it's probably too dark for him to see like the worst of his wounds, or maybe he thinks it's just like oil.
So that is a window, Mr. Hurst, that
I
looks
thought that was
over the deck. The door is still west of that, and it leads into the other motel room.
Then in that case, Hurst steps up to the window. I'm assuming it's open or something close.
I believe it is fully shuttered, and not really see through at this present point. Nobody has really manipulated that one from before all the action happened.
Then I apologize.
Just start to open the door, or are you gonna walk to there?
So sorry about that. He goes to the deck to try to haul her over as he goes out. My good sir, we've unfortunately had a bit of an incident over here. Nothing to worry about, it's all in hand now, although we do have a few minor injuries. Still, though, I fear that perhaps everyone's ability to remain here has been a little compromised. So is that going to be a fast talk or a persuade to get him to not investigate any further? Because primarily he's trying to keep him from poking his nose around and stumbling across anything else that might be under our feet.
Sounds to me more like an actual persuasion. Fast talk tends to be like trying to lie to people, where you're like the idea, as far as I understand with fast talk, is the point is to speak so fast that they can't understand, rather than actually trying to make like logical arguments. So I feel like that's a persuasion check. But you're welcome to roll a fast talk if you would prefer. That's just my take on it.
Well,
and kind of like where I think they sit.
to be fair, Hurst is trying to come up with something on the spot that sounds just logical enough that it won't encourage any further investigation.
Yeah, I would say in modern times, like fast talking is gaslighting. It's the idea of basically telling him he's crazy. There's been no fireworks, kind of thing.
Okay, so then so then this would be a persuade?
Persuade, yeah. And Wilcox, what are you up to?
Ah, it was so close.
I think hearing the sound now. Would I recognize that voice? That's the guy we saw by the pond, right?
Yeah, I think you were there. I think
He
it
was
was
the one
first
fishing?
you and Lucas. He's the divorce, like the guy in his like progression of divorce. He came here to fish, but there's oil in the lake.
Yeah. I got you. All right. Yeah. I will just. I guess I'm just gonna kind of look around the room and just kind of get the environment. They're kind of already addressing that guy. I'm not really worried about it. So maybe I'll look for like a weapon or something like that that just like stands out. Something that would be useful.
What would you like to find? What would you like to look for? You're in a workshop. Do you want like a saw to like use like a crosscut saw to like saw arms off? Are you looking for like a sledgehammer for bashing through doors? Are you know,
No, I think I
tell
would
me
look
what
for.
you want.
I'm gonna look for something like light and long. Not necessarily the most
Like a
efficient
crowbar?
weapons. Yeah, I could probably do with like a crowbar.
Gotcha. Roll a spot hidden. Any interest in either pushing that and what would be the negative or using 5 luck to be successful?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm okay with it. Didn't really spot anything that like particularly hit my fancy. Everything looked just like a little too heavy or a little too cumbersome.
So Bill Dunstan is going to continue over towards you guys as he like shouts out to see like, my God, you're a bloody mess, Max. What on earth has happened? And he's immediately walking right into your group here. Maybe not even necessarily his full movement, but he is going to cross to there. And yeah, kind of like throw it around for sorry, still Christy, we're doing like one more moment here as I go around everybody else. What are you all thinking here one more time?
So I think Dylan probably at this point, he's gonna kind of struggle to his feet, probably have to like grab onto the barrel to kind of help himself up with his leg and his wounds. He's now holding the bucket of oil, and he's gonna start moving over towards Bill as he sees. Though he doesn't, I don't think he. Well, I guess they could have told him his name, but he's just gonna look towards him, and as he sees him still coming closer, he's just gonna be like, "Oh, you're in it now." Tell you one more time, you should get the hell out of here. But if you're intent on sticking around, grab something to defend yourself.
Gotcha. If you want to try one more time, you can make a hard persuasion here.
Might as well.
Anything from Max, Lucas, or Wilcox? Any other thoughts going on?
Can I render first aid again, or is it one and done?
I'm gonna have to stick to it's one and done for you. Other people can render first aid to those, but normally it's like 2 different people can render first aid. And it's limited to like 2 tries per person. So at present, theoretically, they each gained 1. You were very successful rendering first aid to them. But that's like all you can do.
Okay, in that case, Lucas, looks at Dustin, swears under his breath, and I think his concern turns to Miss Bonner, so he's going to try to get to her. So I think the logical way for him to do that, because I think the logical way for him to do that is to go through the room, right?
I think they told you she went back to reception, so going
Oh no!
through the room's gonna
Well,
take you.
yeah. No, to be fair, I just said because I don't want to meta game. So unfortunately, I think I'm more concerned with the innocent Miss.
Oh, you said
Uh,
Miss Bonner.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, I
my
think that's the
apologies.
fair. Yeah, I don't want to, even though I'm going in exactly the wrong direction, but
yeah, what's your movement? If you're doing like just a full move, you can take your full move. I think we said 7, or was yours 6? I think regardless, you could probably make it halfway there, kind of
maybe
thing.
about
Wilcox, Hurst, any thoughts?
I think if the doctor is moving past me right now, I kind of have like a little like weird sensor where I kind of don't want him out of my sight because I'm still looking at him for those keys to get the hell out of here.
Gotcha. I had you roughly kind of like over here at that workbench. So theoretically, you can see him as he kind of like pops through the door to the south, and then back out of room 5. So if you wanted to follow him, you certainly could. And then how about for Mr. Hirsch? All right, maybe we do not have Matt right now. So we're gonna pop back to Jerry here as we kind of continue on. Um, so as you kind of are making your way out of the, actually, let me confirm, Christy, are you there right now? Of course. How about we take a quick little break here? Up. Is Christy back?
Sort of. She's talking with the bug guy in the other room, but I can call her over.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts on what Max is doing as Bill like kind of heads towards you? Dr. Lucas is kind of heading like down to the south. Well, he's kind of like heading out of your view anyways, from the workshop. So you probably don't even notice that. I
No,
don't think you made a decision what you were doing with Mr. Wilcox, but I think Wilcox and Lucas are out of Max's initial view at present.
Then yeah, no. At this point, Max moves to the staircase leading up, as even if he didn't succeed initially in talking Bill out of it, he's gonna try to at least keep him from seeing everybody all torn up, even if it means, well, showing himself all
You
covered in blood. Then again, it is dim
you
light.
might have missed his reaction. His reaction walking over was, "You look like a bloody mess. What's going on?" Like, you guys already look like a bloody mess.
Right, then in that case, it's time to minimize the damage and hopefully get him to leave. Because if nothing else, this just might convince him it's time to go.
Gotcha. I feel like you could go for a hard persuade here.
Alright, I'll figure out what he's going to say after I roll.
Oh, I was just going on that like narrative. In general, I'd rather you tell me what you're saying beforehand.
Right, so do I. As he comes over to the stairs, Max actually kind of sort of slips a little in the blood, which does not help at all with the narrative he's trying to set. As he holds out a hand, as he goes, Bill, listen, my friend. Yes, I know, I'm a mess. We're all a mess up here, but believe me when I say you do not want to see what went on in that room. There's a lot happening, and I honestly believe, sir, that now is as good a time as any to finally leave. It's not the serene getaway that you thought it might have been.
And is Christy back now?
Yes, I am.
All right, so we're gonna go back to you here. As you're basically grabbing that shotgun, William's telling you like it's not for you to give it back to him. He'll protect you. And you see like the door open to the back room again as Robert walks out of the back room. What would you like to do?
Robert, who is that? Someone I'm sorry. Who's Robert again?
You've not seen him.
Okay. I'm kind of startled by seeing a new face and saying, "Oh, what? Okay, sir." As I'm still backing towards the door, how do you intend to protect us? Do you know what is out there?
Gotcha. Are you still continuing out of the room as you say this?
Yes, but once I hit the door, I'm just gonna run for it.
Gotcha. Let me have you roll. Do another. Let me have you roll a dodge here.
Okay.
All right. So you're basically having like William Brophy is following you. Robert Brophy actually walks out of that back door and he is going to leap over the counter. Robert Brophy is far older looking than even William Brophy. And as you kind of slip out of both of their grasps, you kind of make your way down the stairs and kind of continue kind of running around. And they kind of slowly, they're not moving terribly quick, but they are moving faster than their age kind of belies. You kind of make your way around, and around halfway around the outside of the building, you are going to start to hear chanting from behind you in a horrific language that you do not know. You can't recognize any of these words. I would like you to roll a extreme. No, wait, you've got a cult. Let me have you roll an occult check, please.
Okay.
Sure, you can.
Got it. Would you like to push that?
I
And
would.
if you push it, what would you like the negatives to be where you two fail again?
How does okay? What do you mean by the negatives? I don't know if I've pushed a roll yet.
So a lot of pushing is effectively kind of like gambling with me. So it's telling me a narrative that you think would be a kind of viable thing for it to be. It doesn't mean that I have to follow it. It's just kind of a rough idea of what you might be wagering to push a roll.
Hmm.
It's a tow truck, buddy.
Maybe not this round. I'll just say that given all the craziness and me actually trying to outrun these people, and now me hearing that chanting, I'm just a little too flustered to think correctly about it.
Gotcha. So with that, I would like you to make a hard constitution check.
Okay.
Would you like to burn some luck to make that successful? Or would you like to push that?
In this case, I would side recommend.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Points off.
I'm gonna do that.
So
Burn some luck to make it successful. Sorry.
as you feel this, or as you hear this language that you don't quite understand being spoken behind you, and the two brothers seem to fall into a coercive chant, you can feel your body starting to get heavy. The shotgun weighs 15 pounds, and you start to feel it's 30 pounds. Your arms just don't want to stay. Your hands just don't want to hold. Your legs just don't want to move. But you fight the sleep. And you run, and you can start to hear the voices of the others on the other side, just on the other side of the workshop, as they're all kind of chatting and seem to be having a discussion with someone in a voice you don't recognize. And the chanting continues. I need everyone to make a constitution check. It is still hard for Jerry. Oh, critical failure was really bad timing. Alrighty. So I would be remiss to not ask, does anybody want to push this? And do you have any thoughts on what you would wager against pushing it? Two of you.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I guess that's not a critical fail.
mine is, isn't it? 97?
Oh, yeah, it's not a skill. So I don't think it's just 100, even if you are over. But yeah, regardless, it is pretty dangerous, regardless of what you're going to do if you try to push this. But what is it? Geraldine failed, Haggerty failed, and Lucas failed.
I would like to push it. I'd say if I fail, I trip and fall, possibly misfiring the
What's that?
gun.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're trying to maintain consciousness. I think if you fail again, you're likely falling over and shooting yourself, not just misfiring, but
Gotcha.
actively getting shot by your own shotgun right now. I think that is a perfectly acceptable risk. Dylan or Lucas, are you pushing?
Yeah, I'm gonna push. I think my failure, one thought would be that I simply fall to, fall to the ground, either catatonic or sobbing. And I think another potentially worse solution is that maybe I dart back into the room and actually like hide under the bed, um, crying for my mommy.
Alrighty. And Dylan, are you thinking about pushing?
I'm thinking about it, but given my luck, and I don't have a real good idea of like a what a failure state might be if I miss it. So um, then again, everybody else is pushing. So um, I don't know. Maybe like I don't know what this chanting is, but if it's the kind of thing that just like makes him snap, maybe he actually starts like chugging this oil from the bucket that he's like his mind just snaps and he thinks it's water or something like that, and he just starts chugging this poisonous oil.
Alrighty. So yeah, let me get those pushed rolls from Jerry, Dylan, and Lucas.
I'll burn the luck.
So do I just roll
You
again with
cannot
with
burn
the
luck
highest
on a
one?
push.
Wah, wah,
My
wah.
bad, Christy. What were you saying, Christy?
I'm sorry. Do I just roll again with it on hard?
Yep. Probably should have already looked up the shotgun for these stats. I believe it's a D12. Roll a luck roll for me, Christy.
Okie dokie. Do I need that on hard, regular? What do you want me to do that?
I'm gonna go for extreme. It is the 1/5 value.
Okay. Yikes.
I think 2d6 plus 2. I think that is going to be sufficient to recognize that Jerry Thornhill is not going to live through this. As she falls asleep, you are going to fall on the shotgun, taking 11 points of damage. Jerry is essentially going to kind of pass out here as there is a loud and there's no more movement from the north side of the building. And then Dr. Lucas will fall unconscious, knocking over a lamp. And roll a luck roll for me, Dr. Lucas. I would like this to be a hard luck. So your 1/2 value. Gotcha. So let's see. Wilcox is still standing. You watch as like Lucas basically walks through like room 5, and as he like crosses on the outside and he's like walking down to the south, you see as he falls over,
and like knocks over one of the lamps outside, and it's basically going to spill oil on the ground and catch fire like at the feet of Dr. Lucas. He specifically is not necessarily burning at present, but he fell over. I think it's safe to say, potentially unconscious, uh, and has fire like at his feet, kind of thing. So that's what like Wilcox sees there. And then who else? Hurst passed. Jacob and Hurst see as Bill Dunstan just falls over unconscious. And then, so for now, Christy, you are out, but I will have you coming back in a little bit here as we kind of see where this goes.
Okie dokie.
So yeah, let's see. Dylan, you passed the push. Yeah, so yeah, I guess you're just kind of like with Hirsch and Maximilian, like all three of you just like at the same time, or even Wilcox as well, like all four of you at the same time. Have a great big yawn as you watch Dunstan fall over, as you watch Lucas fall over and fire bursts up at his feet, and as you hear this massive shotgun blast to the north side of the building. What's everybody doing?
I think Dylan, hearing that shotgun blast, and I think he had actually like mentioned wanting to get his hands on the shotgun, and maybe that's maybe Jerry got her hands on it, or maybe somebody with a shotgun is something's happening. So I think his immediate reaction is going to be to just start to try and hobble down the stairs and towards that sound. I'm thinking maybe he's at best moving at half speed because of his leg injury. His normal movement is 8.
Gotcha. So you're moving for the sound. You could probably like basically get down from up there and have a sight around that corner, where you will see the horrific remains of Geraldine. I think without necessarily worrying about what everybody's acceptable cards and whatnot, it looks like Jerry fell over her shotgun, and I would say she is missing significant, important thinking mechanisms as far as things go. I don't think that you see a shotgun. You just see Geraldine effectively decapitated. But you do see on the other side of the building 2 men walking towards you.
Yeah, so I think he's going to let out like an instinctive, "Oh Jesus," as he sees Geraldine's body, and he's going to shout back towards the others, "Get them up! It's not over yet." Yeah, and that's basically his what he's doing there.
Okay. Who's next?
Not in order. I just want you guys to tell me what you're doing right now.
Okay. What's the state of? I've forgotten the kid's name. What's his name again?
Jacob is still conscious.
Jacob. Hurst goes back up the stairs. Like he glances over at Bill where he's collapsed before he like hauls ass up the stairs as quick as he can. Goes over to Jacob, kind of like gives him a quick once over as he says, "Come on, man! I need you to come on, lad! I need you to stand up. You need to get going."
Roll an occult.
Finally!
As you spin him over, he is chanting in a language that you have only seen from cultists. You do not recognize it per se, but you do start to like pick up on like the cadence of like this is some sort of like occult ritual. And he seems to be participating in the chant. But like you're trying to wake him, nothing. Moving his like eyelids up, just white. There's no retinas to be seen.
Max kind of like jerks back as he goes, just like St. Louis.
Oh, wait a second. Shit. You went to Jacob. Jacob is perfectly fine. It's Bill Dunstan who's passed out. My bad.
Okay.
I did that wrong. Why did you go to Jacob?
Well, because Bill's collapsed down, and if Jacob is perfectly conscious and things are still happening, we need someone. We need to like get him out of the way at least.
Okay, yeah. If you go to Jacob, like he's perfectly fine to like stand back up and recognize things are back in. My bad. Nix that occult, like that's not a success. You're just kind of helping him to his feet. You got somebody else to help you.
Right. So
What are you thinking?
I was about to say, I was gonna say like if Jacob is still capable of moving, the Max is gonna help him to his feet because even if he's too torn up to actually help, at the very least, Max knows that it's better to get someone out of the way that can be safe. He doesn't know what's going on with Bill. He knows Jacob's still walking and talking.
Yeah, I mean Jacob is not a whole heck of a lot worse off than you are right now. Both of you are in rough condition. But yeah, Wilcox, what are you up to?
I guess seeing the doctor kind of fall over right then, and everybody else kind of just like leaving the room. Max kind of coming running up. I just would kind of say out loud to myself, "All right, we got to get the hell out of here, or nobody's gonna make it." And I'm gonna run to the doctor, and with however much time I have or whatever, I'm gonna, or whatever condition he's in, I guess, I'm gonna try to get those keys.
Gotcha. So you can move to him and be kind of like on top of the fire at risk of getting hurt by the fire. You could then go for the keys, or you could do something otherwise. But like if you go to him and are trying to make the keys, there's a chance the fire is going to like lick at you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. And I don't want to metagame because you just like described Bill and you put like that same counter up. So I didn't know. Is he like fully unconscious? Is he like doing weird stuff?
Lucas is unconscious as you get to him. Yes. As far as things go, you would basically from here just be hearing him muttering at present. What he's actually saying is it's still too much without you trying something beyond that. But if the
Okay.
keys are your first impression, you can basically. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
the big
willing
thing
to.
is just to say luck roll.
Okay, cool. And I'm willing to take a little risk. I like really at this point in time just want those keys. This is the second time the doctor has just like run off and collapsed. Like I just want to make sure when I'm ready to go, I can go.
Gotcha. So make the luck roll. Yeah, I think that's sufficient to say, like, you can basically pull him away from the fire as you're like grabbing the keys, um, and get yourself away from it as well. You're not putting it out, but at present you're kind of like preventing at least a little bit of some danger. But you can consider yourself as having Dr. Lucas's car keys.
And could I actually like I think naturally I would like want to pull him back towards like everybody else as opposed to away, if that's okay. It's not a big deal, but
The flame is on that side of him, so you would be pulling him over the flame.
oh, okay, I got you. There's no way I could pull him back into the room without pulling him through the fire.
That's where the flame is. Yep.
Okay, I got you. So yeah, I think at this point in time I would not want to just drag him through fire. So fair enough.
All right.
Doctor. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so Jacob's kind of standing to let's see. He's kind of like looking to it like, what's going on with Bill? What's happening? I need to sleep. Where's Abe? And I need everyone to make another constitution. Dylan, yours is at hard. And everybody else, I need a constitution from you here.
Can I burn 5 luck to make that a success?
You certainly can. Oh, my bad, Dr. Lucas, you're still passed out. Like you're not in that one. Yeah, Trent is going to fall over unconscious as he's standing, looks over to Dunstan, says that he's feeling tired, and he falls over. Wilcox pushing it. Haggerty, you're burning the luck. And Maximilian is good. What are you thinking, Wilcox?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the push. I've seen what's happening here, and if I start to feel tired, I'm gonna fight it as best I can.
Gotcha. Yeah, so if you push, you might be falling back into that fire, or you may just be falling off of this ledge. That's probably around where your risk really is for pushing it, but you are welcome to attempt the push.
Yeah, I'd say it's a coin toss. If I fail this, half 50% I'm in the fire, 50% I'm off the balcony. Do I modify it to like hard or extreme or just regular?
Nope, still just a regular. All right, so yeah, that same feeling kind of comes over where you're just like feeling this like exhaustive pull towards sleep. And you hear like a thump from behind you where the others are. And you just kind of like fight through it. Max and Haggerty are in kind of that same state. Haggerty, you're watching as these two figures are like walking towards you, as they're kind of like just like keeping in tone, like this like 8 or 10 kind of syllable. It takes them like 5 or 6 seconds to kind of like get to a point where you start to like feel like the sense of them like repeating what they're saying. What are you doing, Dylan?
Yeah, so now Dylan can't understand, but he senses I guess he can kind of see their seem to be chanting something or
You can roll an occult, actually. You're close enough, I think, at this point. You can roll an occult.
Sure.
Probably just a 1% for you, though, or what is it? 5?
I've got 5. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a regular, but fail anyway. Yeah, so I think Dylan he knows the others are in trouble. Nothing they can do for Jerry. But he's thinking maybe he can, if he can disrupt the chanting somehow, maybe that'll buy the others a little time. No idea what's really, half of them seem to have fallen unconscious. So he's going to essentially trying to stare down these guys, going to try to hobble closer. I think he's probably still too far if he tried to essentially like toss the contents of the oil in the bucket that he's holding onto this guy, or can he try that?
You're looking to like just throw the oil at them effectively at that point.
like essentially grabbing the bucket and like heaving like the oil within, like trying to splash it onto the closest of these two guys.
You really don't know if you can at that point. I would say on some level you're at the darkest point of like the north side of the building, and it's just kind of a question of like how successful are you at doing it. So you could certainly try.
Hmm. Yeah, and Call of Cthulhu, they don't have like the idea of like a held action where you can essentially like if they get closer, then throw it, right? Like he has to do it now or hold till his next turn.
I am pretty sure that is a correct assessment. I do not believe there's a held action. It's normally part of like opposing things. That, like if somebody attacks you, you get the choice of like dodging or fighting back. And like if you fight back, you like successfully hit them versus dodging. It's much easier for you to successfully not take damage.
Gotcha. Yeah, then I think he's going to hold it for now. He doesn't think he can reach, especially in the dark, and he's wounded, not at full strength. So yeah, but he's like kind of he's like readying the bucket, but he's not actually trying to do anything with it yet.
Gotcha. What is Maximilian up to?
All right, so
You
Jacob Jacob is like yawning and saying he needs to go to sleep, right?
Yep, all of you are feeling tired. All of you yawned at the same time. But like last turn, he basically like stood up for you, mentioned how heavy and tired he felt, and then almost immediately afterwards just passes right out.
Ah, I missed that last bit. Okay. Are there any of the barrels still nearby? I have an idea.
There's still two barrels like behind you, basically, where Haggerty got the oil from.
Okay. See, I believe Dylan had the right idea, but I also believe he was thinking a little too small in scope. So what Max is going to do is, with Jerry dead, everybody passing out around him, and something happening, first has come to one conclusion. Whatever is going on with this lake has got to be the center of it all. So he goes in to grab one of the barrels and starts rolling it down towards the lake.
Gotcha. You're not actually going inside. They're outside of that window. So they're right next to that ramp. You could pretty easily start to roll it down the lake. You could do, I would say just roll a strength check.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, did not mean to
Yeah.
broadcast that last bit.
Solid, just like kind of like turning around. You start to like push the barrel down. It's going to roll down the ramp and, like kind of like runs right into the lake. You'll probably notice maybe like halfway down the ramp, the bung like popped out. So the whole time it was like spraying out oil as it like rolled towards the lake. But yeah, you successfully have one of the barrels inside of the lake. Wilcox, what are you up to?
Well, I would have heard the gunshot. I'm concerned about the doctor, but doesn't seem to have too much concern for the rest of us. So I'll try to wake him up or get him up, but if I don't have success, I'm gonna have to come back to the rest of the party.
So what are you thinking though? What are you actually going to do? Are you moving back towards the north?
Well, when I dragged him, it didn't like startle him or anything. Like he's still kind of like chanting while he's kind of like unconscious.
He's still muttering. Like you don't necessarily understand it as chanting, but he's basically still muttering. He did not seem to come to in the least bit as you got him inches away from the fire. You basically pulled him clear of being burning that turn kind of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna just say, God damn it, doctor, snap out of it. We don't have time for this, and I don't want to leave you behind. So I'm gonna spend a turn trying to wake him up.
Roll a luck roll for me. Roll a. I feel like just like first aid, just to see what you can do to try to wake him up. Yeah, like you're basically like over top of him. You're like his feet should be hot. The fire is right there licking at him. People should wake up when they feel burning. You look through his medical bag for like something like smelling salts, and you don't see what would be it. And you like crack one little bottle like over his nose, nothing happens. You like pull another little substance over his nose, nothing happens. You try slapping him, nothing happens. I'm gonna go to here another. Oh, wait, Dylan, did I ever ask you to roll the throw? Did you throw the bucket of oil?
No, I ended up holding off. I didn't think I could reach him.
Okay, so you just kind of like rushed up to like basically right about where Jerry is, and like that's what you've done so far.
Like he's getting ready to throw it, but he did not do it last go round.
Gotcha. Let me have you roll a spot hidden. Excellent. So another round of constitutions, please. It's going to be hard from Haggerty. No, wait, I'm my bad. Let me go for extreme from Haggerty, hard from Hirsch, and hard from Wilcox. Hard from Hirsch, extreme from Haggerty. Wilcox, you hit the hard.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't switch it, but it should just be half.
Oh,
of my value.
yeah, it's no big deal. If you switch it, it does it like for the right value, but it still shows me that you did a hard success anyways.
Okay, I want to
It's
practice
perfectly
one the
fine.
other way, so just ignore this roll.
Word. So yeah, when you kind of are like moving up, Dylan, well actually let me ask you, Haggerty or Hirsch, are either of you going to try to push these?
I'm not going to try to push an extreme. No.
I mean,
mean-
that's a pretty vast gulf for me. If I push it, there's not really very good odds that I'll be able to take it down to where it needs to be. Is there?
I mean, pushing is always a horrendous thing to do, but you have a third of a chance to be successful at it.
Jerry blew her head off when she pushed her roll, so I'm not exactly too inclined to try for something this extreme.
I think Jerry also failed with like a 97 or something too, so keep that in mind. Yeah, she had a 99 when she failed.
All right, I'll try pushing it. What do I do?
Just roll another one.
It's the same damn thing! Literally the same roll!
Let's see, you're right by the oil canisters. I feel like realistically, you're probably just falling off that edge. Roll a hard luck for me, Hirsch. Excellent. You'll take 3 damage as you like fall over the edge, and fall to the ground. Wilcox, you are currently the only person who is conscious here. And at this point, the brothers are gonna get to Haggerty. Dr. Lucas, are you currently at your computer? Can you hear me? Alrighty. So, Lucas, you are currently dreaming. You are inside of a lake. You feel a sensation of kind of drowning, but you also are not breathing. but you feel this worry because your consciousness knows that like you would be drowning were you breathing here, and you are underneath water. You feel the pressure of water all around you. You feel its kind of push, and you kind of see all around you is massive amounts of darkness. But below you, you can see the outlines of towers, lights, kind of the glow of a city far removed from you. This is kind of the first and initial kind of part of your dream. And the others will soon start to feel the same dream. But at present, Wilcox, what are you doing? I think
Sorry,
actually
Doctor.
now, my bad. Um, Now is the point where I'm going to introduce. Is Christy still at her computer?
Yes, I'm right here.
So I am going to give you control of Miss Bonner. And when I say control, that's probably a little bit less than what it is because at present, Miss Bonner is being taken and carried by a kind of like wet, rotting figure who he stands about 6 feet tall, blonde, seems to be a younger boy, kind of like moving almost stiff like, and there's a massive black spike that kind of like sticks through his spine. And you're like thrown over the other shoulder, like right next to this spike, kind of stabbing into his spine. And you're being carried through the woods. You remember waking up moments ago as if you were in a dream and you were underneath this water that was pushing down around you, and you were like gasping for air. And then all of a sudden, you felt like the grasp of the hands of somebody kind of like reaching out to take your hand, and they were like pulling you from the water, but you never felt the relief of the water. And it's kind of a similar analogy to like the falling dream, where right as you should like pass out from not being able to breathe, your body wakes you up and you're being like carried through the woods. You just see trees around you in what light there is. There's very little else for you to sense here, as you're basically being carried through the woods. Mr. Wilcox, I would like you to make a listen check for me. Alrighty. Yeah, what are you thinking here, Dr. Wilcox? What would you like to do?
In many ways, magic is like being a doctor, but I'm not official. So I got to just go back and check on the rest of the party. At this point in time, it's been too long. I've been over here with the doctor. I've heard gunshots. There's weird stuff going on. So I'm just going to make my way back over there.
Gotcha. So just looking to the north, you can see Bill Dunstan like fell over, passed out over one of the canoes. You'll see that quite quickly. So if you continue walking from there, you would see Jacob Trent passed out on the like patio into the workshop. And if you continue forward from that, you would eventually see Hirsch kind of like passed out on the ground, almost as if he fell like backwards, like looking at the workshop. He's just like kind of flayed out on the ground um beside the ramp. All of them are muttering something. As you get to Bill, you'd hear him muttering. Passing by Jacob, you hear him muttering. By the time you get to Hirsch beside him there, you would hear chanting from the other side of the building. But I think that's probably your full movement to get about to where you're at there.
Okay. Okay, so if I pretty much spent my whole movement, do I still have like the ability to do like any kind of action or anything, or no?
No. That's half movement. All like you can do actions, but full movement is as if you were sprinting.
Okay, gotcha.
Let me have you make a hard constitution check here as the two brothers moving around the side of the building come up to you, and you have like face to face chanting. You feel that pull to sleep. You see the two of them kind of moving by. I think at present, I think it would make sense for one of them to be back behind a little bit, and he has the shotgun. And as they kind of like come around and they're still chanting, and they see as you don't drop, the other one's going to start to raise his shotgun, and he's going to try to take a shot at you. What are you thinking? Are you going to shoot him before he can shoot you?
If I feel like there's a possibility, I'm gonna unload 3 shots into him before he can shoot me. If I don't, I'm gonna dive to try to like get somewhere where he doesn't have a line on me.
That's kind of exactly where you're at right now. He's raising his shotgun to you. If you're going to shoot, you can shoot faster than him. It's plus 50 to your dexterity if you're shooting a firearm. And you
Yeah,
would
if I
actually,
see, yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
gotcha. So each shot is at like an extra disadvantage, a penalty die, but you can roll 3 shots, each of them with 1 penalty die, to see if you can shoot William before he can shoot you.
So should I just click handgun 3 times and then click the die afterwards 3 times, or what do I do here to do that, like built in?
Um, there's a way to set it ahead of time, but if you just roll the attack and then click the penalty die and then roll the attack, click the penalty die, that works as well. But I'm pretty sure you can set it in the same way where you can tell it it's with penalty. Yeah, so I mean, if it fails, you don't even necessarily have to roll the penalty on that first one. So roll. Oh wait, yeah, you do because it could critically fail too. Um, yeah, so 90, and then the last one is a 56. Yeah, so all of them are going to miss. None of them are critical failures. And then William is going to take a shot at you. Seems awfully close to miss. But yeah, he's going to miss as he shoots you. And let me get a normal Constitution check from you. As Robert continues to walk towards you and chants.
I had a good run, guys, but I think my luck's about to run out.
Oh my gosh. So you're like actively feeling this pull to like fall asleep, and you're continually pushing it off and fighting it. At this point, pretty much everybody is experiencing this dream of being like pulled deeper and deeper into a lake as you're starting to see these lights of a city beneath you, these massive towers and spires kind of like coming up out of the water. And Lucas, you're just kind of a little bit ahead of everybody as you're actually getting down deeper and deeper. The like push of the water is starting to crush your very sense of being until you start to see like a crystalline object that has like a young woman inside of it. And that's actually where we're going to have Christy. You are like being entombed inside of this like crystalline object in the center of this city square. Oh, wait, no, my bad. You woke up. I'm sorry. You're not in the dream with Miss Bonner. I'm gonna actually have Christy. You're going to see um a scene in front of you. I believe this should drop you on it. Oh, nope, my alt button messed up. 1 second, my bad. Jesse, do you see a black screen right now?
I do.
Do you now
Okay, now
see
I
like
see a
a
picture.
beachhead?
Yeah.
Right. So, theoretically, pretend that body is not there. You're basically being like walked out onto this beach that you see ahead of you. You can like hear the little bits of like water kind of like lapping up against the waves. And this figure is walking you towards one of these four spikes that are just like piercing out of the earth, and kind of like pointing over and reaching towards the lake. And he's walking you towards like the second of these. And going back to Wilcox here, one of these figures is kind of like reaching out towards you as he's chanting. The other one is like stepped up, like face to face with you with the shotgun. You're still maintaining this like fight against sleep. You're over the body of Maximilian, Dunstan, Trent, all of them around you, kind of like muttering, and you're starting to sense that all five of these figures now are saying the same things. What is Wilcox doing?
One shot left, David. Easy way out. And I'm going to point the gun up towards my mouth. I don't think so. And then I'm going to point it directly at the dude's head with the shotgun, and I'm going to try to shoot him in the head.
Do you only have one shot left? I thought you've only fired four.
One on the lock, one on the girl. Oh, wait, I did get a reload in, didn't I? Oh, yeah, okay. So I guess I did reload. So I technically have 3 shots left now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because you've got a 7-shooter, right?
No, 6. It's 6-shooter, yeah. And I just shot 3 of a fresh clip. I was thinking that was my last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I could either shoot 3 at basically with a minus or 1 just regular. Is that what it comes down to?
Correct.
Let me ask you this. Do I have enough time or enough sense in the moment to get a look at the shotgun? Can I make out if it's only able to hold 2 rounds?
Roll a spot hidden.
Now, I don't want to compromise my ability to shoot him, though. Is that okay?
Roll a hard spot hidden. You can't tell.
All right, I'm going to shoot him in the head.
1 shot, 3 shots.
So how does it work again? If I just shoot 1, I get a bonus for being close range. If I shoot 3, I get like a negative for shooting 3.
I'd say where you're at here, your first shot would be an even shot. The second 2 would have the negatives, because you are in close range. But like close range only improves that first shot. The second ones always still have the negatives.
All right, I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going 3 shots.
Gotcha. So a straight roll with the first one. And then yeah, so that success though is the oh shit. Yeah, okay, yeah. 96 would have been the critical fail. Roll a penalty die for the success you have though. You need that to be a success as well. So yeah, gonna fail with those as well. As he takes a shot.
Oh wait, the 1 doesn't. The 26 with the -5 isn't a success.
It's not a -5, it's the 10's die. That's a 56.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay. See, that's
It's the
different. I thought it
percentile.
just subtracted the 5. That's why I got you.
So he's going to fire and miss you as well. Just seems insane.
The
And
feeling's mutual. Just let him know.
another Constitution check from you here. Dear Lord, Yeah, everybody's kind of like continuing into this dream as you're like pulled deeper and deeper into this sunken city. Um, Miss Bonner, you're pulled towards this beachhead, and this figure is starting to like raise you up. Um, what are you thinking as Miss Bonner kind of like waking out of this horrendous dream? You see this like beachhead coming out of the woods, and this figure is starting to like lift you into the air. What are you thinking here, Miss Bonner?
What am I thinking as I'm seeing this, as I'm being lifted in the air, but in front of a spike?
Yeah.
Oh my god, what is happening? What is that thing? Where am I? Why am I near water? Wasn't I just not breathing? I'm assuming something along those lines.
Are you kicking, thrashing, fighting?
I
Are
am
you
going. I am going to do that. I'm going to kick my feet, and yeah, feet, hands, probably going to start flailing to try and wiggle the opposite direction if I'm lucky.
Gotcha. Roll a fighting brawl for me. You should have access to her sheet under
Okay.
NPC's motel guest. But if you just roll a D100, that works as well. She has a 25 for fighting brawl.
Oh, hold on. I clicked it. I don't. 1 second. Oh, that was weird. It was on edit mode. Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say hers starts in edit mode. If you switch it over, that'll make it easier. Do you see where if you switch it off edit mode, like brawl becomes like middle right side of her stat block?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now. The sheet changed like layout, so I was confused. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the things I feel like Roll20 could make the like NPC sheets a little closer to player sheets. Yeah, he fails to like really fight back with you, so it maintains the status quo where he's still kind of like holding on to you, as he's lifting you up towards like the point of the spike. Might be the type of thing where just now you're starting to feel like the spike in your back as he's like lifting you here. Um, and then we're gonna go back around
Quick
to.
question.
Yep.
I'm just seeing Sarah Bonner on that character sheet, and I'm wondering if that makes a difference.
Yeah, she's Sarah Bonner now. Geraldine is dead.
Got it.
Um, doo, 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 doo. So, Mr. Wilcox, you are no longer capable of firing first. So I'm gonna see if he's got another shot for you. Um, yeah, William is going to like rack the shotgun again. And you'll see like it's a pump action. And when he pulls the trigger, there's no shot. He's out of ammo as well. But otherwise it'll go to you, Wilcox. What would you like to do?
Congratulations, David. You blew your load. Now what are you gonna do? So this dude's like right in my face. Just realized he's like out of shotgun shells.
Yeah, I'd say at this point he's like stepped over Maximilian. And you're basically face to face with both of them.
I'm gonna run.
Gotcha. What's your overall thought when you go to run? Are you piecing out for the car?
No, I'm gonna try to get far enough ahead of them, slash like around a corner and reload. They look old. I'm a fairly able-bodied, young, nimble small. I think I can get away, get a second to reload, and then try to bust one more cap in these fools.
Gotcha. So as you um running around like the south side of the building.
Maybe just bolt straight up the stairs and into the building. Whatever you think's fine. Yeah, around the corner
Well,
would be
tell me
okay.
what you're doing. Choose what you're doing.
Well, if I'm like still on the stairs, I think I'll just run straight up the stairs. Try to like get as far away as I can, and then spend like the next chance I get reloading.
Gotcha. So yeah, if you're rushing for the stairs, you said your movement's about 7. I feel like you're
I
probably
have
getting
9
to
moves.
about the 9. Okay, so probably to the top of the stairs. They're going to continue after you chanting, and it's going to return to a hard Constitution check on you. The impossibility of this. And then it's going to go to Miss Bonner. One more fighting brawl from you as this blonde figure is trying to like fight past you to impale you on this spike. Gotcha. So that's going to bring you back to the somewhat feeling of maybe having 2 characters go, but at present, you're going to start to feel the slow pain of this spike piercing through your back, and as it kind of like pops out of your chest, he almost kind of like starts to release you, and your body's weight is going to be kind of like hanging at the edge of this lake, overlooking the water as this figure just kind of like slowly seems to be like meandering away from you at present.
Okay.
And it's gonna go to Wilcox. Are you putting more distance in you? Are you trying to reload your pistol right now?
I gotta reload it. Take your time, David. It's not like death is at your doorstep. As his like hands are shaking, he's like sliding them in.
Are you moving as you try to reload? Do you want to move like 4 spaces, or are you just going for a solid reload to keep your distance and then?
No, I think I'm 100% focused on like the doctors right here. I'm gonna try to reload and then go from there, like kind of hold my ground.
Gotcha. One more Constitution hard. Do you want to push it?
Yeah, I might as well. It's that or the sleep. So I know what's happening if I fall asleep here.
I'd say at this point you run the risk of if you push this, it's like potentially like falling off these stairs with basically your like finger on the trigger of your handgun.
And do I just need my regular constitution to pass, or how does that work?
It's still going to be a hard check. It's just going to be a straight 30. You try again. If you fail, it's catastrophic.
Well, I think it's catastrophic either way. Might as well go out with a bang.
Roll a hard luck for me, Mr. Wilcox. Alrighty. So we are going to continue with the idea that everybody is feeling this like sense of um, sluggish weeds around you, like inside of like the depth of this water that's crushing down all around you. And as you kind of like sink deeper and deeper into the water, you eventually start to see like this massive city beneath you, and from within the city you can see this like crystalline sarcophagus, and as you go deeper and deeper you start to sense these like tentacles and eyes kind of coming up towards you, and you start to hear these horrendous sounds inside of your head. You all are going to start to like kind of feel this sort of chant as you hear the name of Glacky. and you are called towards the cult, and your mind becomes like slowly more and more accepting of this water and the sea beneath you. And Miss Bonner, you are going to start to see this creature start to squirm up to the surface of the water as this massive, like, puddle of fat and bulbous material just riddled with spikes and flesh. And you can see different parts of like humans almost like melted into the flesh itself as it slowly starts to like almost roll up onto the beachhead, and it's going to get closer and closer to you before this maw of hundreds of teeth starts to like open up, and these three big yellow eye stalks kind of like rise out above and around you as one of these dark black spikes kind of like edges towards your throat, and you'll feel as it pierces down into your back, and you start to feel the water and a sense of calm and a feeling of appreciating being one with
Oh my.
Oh, I went out. I don't know where my push to talk went out.
I heard glack. Like you got halfway through the word glacky.
You're like pierced with the spike, and you start to feel like the pump of like this warm, dark, this warm liquid pumped into you, and like with this sensation of this black oil flowing into your body, your mind starts to become like one with this concept of like being underwater, and you stop thinking of it as like drowning underwater to starting to like appreciate the I no longer need to think. You're no longer worried by having to make decisions. Glacky will decide everything for you. And one by one, all of you will kind of come to in this pretty similar sensation of being pierced onto a big black spike overlooking this massive monolith of a creature as James Fraser stabs you up onto the spear, onto the spike. The creature comes out of the water and stabs you with a tiny, like with a smaller spike, and it starts to pump this liquid into you, and you become one with Glacky. And then Miss Bonner and James Fraser come back with two more, and all of you are going to become servants of Glacky. And that is going to be where Servants of the Lake is going to come to a conclusion.
Yo.
Yeah, one funny thing that I can say about the module is the module thinks you're ever going to feel comfortable enough to sleep at this place.
That's a very good point.
Everything that I read about people running this was people never even making it to see anything about the final beast. That's part of why I wanted to throw you in as Miss Bonner, so you guys do kind of have what little bit of a spoiler it is to know what it is becoming one of these things, versus effectively there is a certain danger of like falling asleep in this place is the real danger. um I think even had the magic man kind of decided to like run away, even if it was to feign to watch what they were doing, it's one of those things where without most of you running, there's very little hope like how things were going from that initial fight, from kind of the breakout in the workshop. But I feel like that was where like the biggest kind of like toss up really was going to come, is like how you treated those moments. It was huge in my opinion, the moment you like reached the shotgun before the brothers. But yeah, I definitely think that was one of those really cool but catastrophic endings.
How many hit points did the brothers have? Like each?
I think James Frazier has the most hit points in the module, getting out of the teens. So I think any given NPC can easily be taken down from between 1 and 2 max damage shots from your pistol.
Well, I'll admit that's the first TPK I was actually ever part of.
It
Oh,
was a
that
very fun day.
okay.
Yeah, you guys were way too sleepy for us to come out on top there.
I'd
Everybody
had-
was exhausted.
If I'd had one more round, I could have tossed a match in after that oil.
I was so hoping that Wilcox, Magic Man, was gonna toss his cigarette into, like as he came up, just casually toss his cigarette into the lake.
Yeah, I thought about trying to ignite the little like line of flames or whatever, but there was just like there was a million things I could have done. I felt like they would like knowing that you have to constantly pass like the check, and if both of them are doing it, it's hard. I knew that it was like, all right, you got one shot to load this pistol.
Oh, that was brutal. I mean, I totally would have bought it if you had run away, gotten into the car, and been like the one character who has this story that no one believes. That would have been very Call of Cthulhu-y.
Actually, what else might have been Call of Cthulhu is that he got away and they sent in the National Guard like at Innsmouth.
I like to think that in an alternate universe, Wilcox makes it to the car and he starts driving and he's like, "Oh, thank God, I made it out." And then like all of a sudden just falls asleep and like crashes into a tree.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Wow, that is-
That's how we finish it. Yeah, that's the director's cut.
I thought your initial thought of just like shooting yourself to avoid whatever fate was gonna waiting for the rest of us. I thought that would have been a pretty cool kind of cinematic ending too.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like right there, like all the moments where I'm just like, "Oh no, this is whatever is about to happen is going to be terrible." But of course, Jerry took the easy way out of all of us.
I somehow doubt that was voluntary.
I don't know. They say the dice never lie, so
The dice lie all the time, or they just whip you upside the head.
The dice will set to the head tonight.
yeah, that was wild.
I loved Wilcox being up for 4 or 5 rounds all alone, and it was just like, yeah, there's very, very little way, I mean, maybe you could have got him with the pistol, but it was pretty damn desperate.
Well, I like the tension too, for sure. Like it's like building like each round, and it's just like, oh, this is the one I'm gonna fail for sure. But I mean, I had like 6 shots in a row to score even like a single hit. So it's not like I didn't try, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Well, I would say it's a good game, except for the fact that we got wiped, so I'll say it was an interesting game.
That was cool. I really liked the ending. That was cool.
Yeah, brutal ending, but I really like the mechanics of the game. I thought it was very successful. I like the tension. I mean, I thought there was a lot of tension in the combat and a lot of, yeah, thought it was a good game.
So,
yeah, I had a lot of fun.
So
yeah, Dylan, you were like on the way out for like 2 whole sessions. Like as soon as you fell down the hole, I was just like, man, you can't catch a break.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dylan was exactly. He could not catch a break for a session and a half.
It was
There we
fun
go.
though. We got through more of those beasts than I thought we would have. I think, like in hindsight, though, like more characters should probably have a firearm. I think you probably have well, I guess some of you guys were pretty good in combat. I had like no chance.
I seriously thought we were finished at the door when Mr. and Mrs. Smith were coming down on us. I seriously thought that was going to be it with how long it took us to take down Abe. Oh, I was like, this is it.
Yeah, I thought I made a big mistake going around for the flanking. I was like, I spent so much time just getting in that I was like, oh my god, this is the classic thing of like, this is 3 rounds of combat. By the time I get there, it's gonna be over.
I think if you quote unquote metagamed the combat, you would have been far more successful. But that doesn't change that what you did do was make for an excellent experience. And I think that's one of the big things that kind of like recognizes like, sure, you could have made things more friendly to the aspects of combat you had to go through, but does that make it any more fun? Like this session, this campaign, this game, like this should be pretty much regardless second or later investigation. So on some level your investigators should be aware enough that like quite often the shit you get called in for is pretty freaky. And I think that's where like yeah, like having firearms is a pretty wise thing. um and I think that's one of those things where I was surprised that the pre-made characters did not have more than like knives and daggers kind of thing. Um, but
Well, Jerry had the right idea going for the shotgun, and it was loaded too, so that's always a good thing. Didn't work out, obviously, but
I love the turn when she's like backing towards the door and she's got the shotgun and she's just like, no, it's cool. Things are just a little flustered, but I'm just gonna take this shotgun.
like
Attention,
like
citizens, remain calm.
the dichotomy of the roles was quite hilarious because I feel like she got like an extreme success when she rolled for the luck to see like did she get to the shotgun before William, and then she rolled so well. I was also like, all right, well then it can also have shells in it as well, because that was the other thing is normally the shells I would say are not in that gun. Otherwise he would probably like sleep with it in his room and not just leave it out front there. But yeah, it's definitely fun to see. I don't know. I really like the mechanics of Call of Cthulhu. I love the idea of quite often there's like times where somebody asks me something and I forget to just say, roll me a luck roll. If you're lucky enough, it's right there for you. And that's where like Wilcox, like looking for whatever tool that you wanted in the warehouse. It's hard to sometimes remember, like say, give me a luck roll. If you're successful, you find that tool you're looking for.
Yeah, that was cool. I thought about that like halfway around the back side of the building. I was like, wait, shells. Matt's like, did you grab shells? I'm like, no, I did not. So thank you.
Well, and then the other thing was I was just like, oh man, like as soon as I said the second one comes out of there walking, I was like, is that enough that she's just gonna like, holy shit, turn and shoot him? Because that's somewhat what I was kind of like. The highest level of paranoia would be great if she started shooting on the brothers right now.
Unfortunately, Christy's too nice to do that.
No, I'm not saying it would have worked out well.
Couldn't have worked out worse.
I mean, yeah, it couldn't have gotten much worse than it did.
It was definitely mildly oh man, what are the I'm trying to think of Dale Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Has anybody seen that like comedy horror show?
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's all I was thinking of was when you crit failed that push roll. I was just like, just thinking of Tucker and Dale moment where like the kids are like running up with axes, and they trip and like fall into like the wood chipper.
Oh my goodness, that's right. I haven't seen that movie in ages. It was so funny though.
Yeah, that movie was hilarious.
Yeah, I was thinking of the scene in I think it's World War Z, where the brilliant scientist is going to with like the army. They give him a gun, and then he's like running down the ramp and trips and just shoots himself in the head.
Especially with shotguns, I don't think a lot of people realize it's a relatively new thing for shotguns to be able to handle like being dropped and not going off. For a long time, shotguns were one of the most dangerous firearms, specifically because their hammers were so prone to essentially like misfiring if you dropped it or even like set it down too hard. And that's one of the things where I feel like it's got to play into like the comedic relief of such a high tension game is to sometimes remember like silly stuff does need to happen. It's just like you need to like appreciate it for like how horrific it is, but also it's meant to be like the lightness of being too.
Yeah, like you survive all this horrible, terrible stuff, and then you just slip and boom, blow your head off.
That's pretty Call of Cthulhu-esque, the grim comedy and the ironic tragedy.
If Max had managed to light up the lake, was that a win condition? Would that have knocked down Glacky?
I don't really see a win condition in the least bit here. Um, so I don't know if I think there is a successful win condition. The lake is small, doesn't really talk about how deep it is, and technically speaking, Glacky is like a pretty deep water creature. I think perhaps where there's an area of interpretation is the oil that you guys came in contact with. Was that Glacky's oil? Was that automotive oil? Nobody knows. So how much of the lake is flammable, I think, is largely up for debate. But I would say, by and large, a lot of Call of Cthulhu is never going to have a win condition against Mythos creatures. Can you kill the zombies? Yes. Can you kill the cultists? Yes. But can you really kill Glacky? That's a lot harder thing to talk about.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the win condition in Call of Cthulhu is more like just like, do you escape with your life and not go insane?
Yeah, what is it? Remember the original Call of Cthulhu? They rammed the sailor rammed Cthulhu himself with the boat, and it was a pretty sizable boat. And Cthulhu just reformed after the impact. So it's one of those not of this earth sort of deals.
So, like, if like the actual avatar of Glacky, if you guys got to that in a position where you could fight it, without giving its stats were roughly 2 to 4 times what everybody else was rocking out for hit points. Its fighting, like in hand-to-hand combat, its melee was a 70 percentile to do 46 damage, and its shooting is 50 percentile to do 2d6 damage. So by and large, and that's not to talk about its spells or its armor as well. By and large, you would have to be pretty lucky to kill the physical thing. And even though then, like I would remind you, it is an avatar of Glacky. Glacky is definitely meant to be introduced here as something interesting, but by and large, Glacky is the type of thing who would make a cool full campaign to like you guys have like experienced this and somehow got away successfully. Cool. Now you can start to track down like what's really going on with like the cult of Glacky.
So we were a pretty long way away from getting away from here alive.
Maybe we could have gotten away, but I don't think we would have killed.
Here's one of the things that I feel on some level about Call of Cthulhu. Both of the Justins played the first session that I ever ran, and it was relatively kind of like anticlimactic how the danger became so real they essentially kind of like talked their way out of the danger. And that was just kind of the end of things, was sort of them, we could have gone back with like a second session at some point and they could have investigated further. But on some levels, they found a conclusion, which was effectively like walk away from it and you can live. And that's one of the weird things is like leaving this place, like the Magic Man running with the keys to Dr. Lucas's car was probably one of the most ideal win conditions. Somebody making the recognition of Dylan Haggerty's sacrifice and running away to live another day is one of the win conditions. And I think that's one of those things is like on some level, um, you guys had the answer for Gerald Fraser a long time ago. That motel where James stopped at was a horrendous place. And, you might have had a moral question of whether you lie and say James is dead, or whether you guys tell the truth and say you're 99% sure James is dead, whether you show him that journal entry or not. That's kind of a win condition when you guys got that little letter to like say, let's get the fuck out of here. Something horrible is happening. We've fought reanimated corpses. We are not the people to deal with this. And that's one of those things where I feel like Call of Cthulhu has like a weird level of like almost to step out of the Dungeons and Dragons where heroes kind of idea and recognize like we are frail, real human beings. To live means to piece the fuck out and not to be the end solution.
Oh, I was really happy for the thought of the hotel going up in flames and the brothers being still inside, but had to get those innocent people out.
Oh, I was so curious to see if somebody was going to do it. When I rolled for Jacob's like luck roll to see if he knew about the oil last session, and I called it out to Jerry, I was like, if Jerry fucking lights one of these on fire, and all of a sudden you guys are now like, we need to get out of here because this place is about to explode. I was like, are they gonna wake up Sarah? Are they gonna wake up what was Dalton's name or Dunton?
Bill
But yeah, I was definitely.
Dalton, Bill.
I was just like, are they gonna wake up the others? But yeah, that's part to me of like the amazing stuff of playing role playing games is to see where like the morality and the gray areas really forces choices to be made. Because I think there's a certain level of like burning down the motel would feel really, really successful. And realistically, if you got the brothers, that's a pretty rough damage to the cult itself. But whether it solves much of anything is hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a route of us going forward. I mean, we're totally bonded by this, having survived this experience, and like the Magic Man with his, oh, everything has a rational explanation, and the Doctor with his, like, oh, find morals, innocent people and everything, and how that gets compromised, like, and that being compromised. I mean, I think it's a real good spine for a campaign.
Thank you all very much for tuning in with us this week to listen to our third part of Call of Cthulhu, Servants of the Lake. It's been a wonderful experience to get to run this 7th edition scenario from Chaosium. It's been a learning experience, And I have to mention, because things ended in such a kind of drastic, often could be horrible TPK fashion, to recognize that one of the things, the hard choices as a DM, is to confidently make choices on the fly and to roll with them. I personally saw that we were about to have a rather lackluster conclusion to the scenario. That would make it feel a little weird that we had gathered for this third week. Had it been inside of a campaign, I think that conclusion would have been much more acceptable. But because we all came together with the idea that this was a one-shot, I made the choice to change some mechanics and turn them into a drastic, conclusive device where something was either going to happen very big, regardless of whether it was good or bad. And this was one of those things where sometimes it creates an epic ending that is good. And it was perhaps most likely that it was going to create an epic ending that was very bad. I made that choice, and we have to kind of live with it. Again, I think I'm far less likely to do so were we explicitly playing a campaign rather than this was me offering kind of a one-shot option to play some Call of Cthulhu in what is otherwise a Dungeons and Dragons channel. So it was a pleasure to bring this to everyone. I feel like I should kind of codify that this conclusion is not necessarily desirable from anybody's experience, but it does offer a wonderful chance for the catharsis that is the reason we all play role-playing games, often whether we know it or not. The memories that we produce are real inside of our bodies. And sometimes that's why it is best to play these games, because it does really help get over and get through things. Um, no matter how you're kind of working with things, you eventually are taken with these moments where you have to kind of recognize, like, this person led a great life. And your body appreciates you recognizing that you led a great life as that person without having to die. That's a very key part of it. Without having to die is a big part of it. But again, I am the Keeper of Secrets, the Game Master, your friend, Marathustra, and it has been my pleasure to bring this gaming experience to you all, players, listeners, watchers, all alike. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be well, and have a wonderful week. Until next time, we are The Dice Never Lie.